Hello everyone and welcome to Challenge to Champion. Thank you for listening week in, week out to the episodes. I really do appreciate it. I do have one ask for you guys. I don't need you to like the video or subscribe or do any of those regular things. I just need you to share this to someone who you think will find value in the content that I'm creating. Please do this. This is my only ask, and I will keep trying to make the best content possible. And please enjoy the show.
Cool.
Dean, welcome to the podcast. This is something that I've been really excited about since I started speaking to Roelof. And you are one of the co-founders of the Dunk ZA. And I think that is a big topic currently on all the mouths of the influencers and biohackers. Yeah. So maybe let's just get a bit into how this started for you guys. How did you get into this business?
Yeah, well, thanks, Luru. Thanks for having us. I think, we're very lucky that you and Roelof knew each other. So a bit of background from us. I worked with Roelof on our previous job. We're still side hustling there. We were consultants for mining companies. So that's how I met Roelof 3 years ago. We still do that on the side to bring some income in. Our personalities just gelled. So Roelof was into the whole Wim Hof thing back in the day. With cold showers, I'm quite come from a sporty background. So I'm more curious into like how to perform better and the gymming and training and whatnot. And then with Roelof's background on cold water therapy, we literally just sat together one day and I said to him, why don't we just make our own? Because we were looking around for South Africa, ice baths in South Africa in January. And it was
January of this
year. Yeah. Okay. And there was absolutely nothing. Now I'm pretty sure if you Google ice baths in South Africa, there's probably 20 that pop up. And we thought like, flip, why don't we just build one? And Roelof he should have been a plumber. He should have been a QS. He is so interested in plumbing and so good with building things. And we found with that connection and just trying to like make one for ourselves. Then we made one and it was epic to try and like source the components. And then once we built the first one in his garage and we had literally like a hose pipe into this rubbish bathtub coming out a plastic bucket.
Like an old construction site bathtub.
Yeah, no, it was horrific. But the water was freezing. I think it was 4 degrees. And once we got into that, we just got hooked. And we thought like, okay, well, let's now start improving and start making the best thing we possibly can.
Were you actually making the first one just for yourself because it was difficult to get hold of one?
Yes, yeah. So that was the intention. So we have this mindset of now where if we just wanted to build two, one for him, one for me. And anything after that is a bonus, and we've succeeded. So essentially, we've got nothing to lose at this point in time. And I think it's a nice mindset to have in terms of we've met our goal. We've made a dunk for him and we made a dunk for me. And from here on out, it's just fun and it's bonus. Obviously, we're quite entrepreneurial ourselves. We're learning a lot. We didn't even know what a freight forwarder was 8 months ago. Now we know how to bring things in, starting up business, marketing, a lot about cold water therapy.
There's a lot of things that keeps you busy. That's not really part of Dunk. It's just business things and admin and all of
but
those
it's fun. I mean, it's absolutely epic, and I wish everyone could experience this. Where I think it was Alex Hormozy who said how your work needs to become play.
Yes.
And for us, as we were talking earlier, like we worked this whole last weekend doing deliveries and events and whatnot. So essentially, if you put it on a timesheet, it's like a ridiculous. We probably worked 40 hours this weekend.
Goodness.
Literally, I mean, that's... And with the rugby as well. So sleep was minimal and wake up early to drive to Durban. But that being said, it didn't feel like work. It was complete play for us. So we were just having fun along the way, trying to build this unit, trying to make it as the best thing we possibly could. And then just having fun and enjoying it. And I think if you're not having fun, it won't last. And that's how the Dunk evolved. Rulof's wife, Letitia, is also a massive part in our business. She's with our social media and marketing and our brand. So there's a nice little trifecta that we have there. Rulof with like the mastermind behind the building and how the plumbing fits together. I enjoy talking to people and the sales side of it. And then Letitia, more the brand and the marketing and social media, which Rulof and I both suck at. So yeah,
it's excellent to have those different parts playing along, because we also at Big Pond, we don't say let's work on our weaknesses, because my weaknesses is luckily it's my brother's strengths, and my strength is his weaknesses. So we play our roles better, and that works a lot better, because if you had to do social media the whole time, it would get tiring.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So it's for example, I love chatting to people at events and explaining the benefits of these ice bars and trying to sell these things. But to be dead honest, trying to figure out how water's got to get from A to B and why it's suddenly leaking through a crack. It's exhausting for me. But for Rulof, for example, I'm there to support Rulof. But for him, that just excites him. So it's like, and whereas, for example, for him going out and to speak to some strangers about cold water, he doesn't want to do that. Yeah, where that's more my comfort zone. So it's super weird, like how the coincidences we've had with these businesses.
Maybe like it's not coincidence.
Exactly. We can get into that. We actually made a list 2 weeks ago about these coincidences. And it's got to a point where it's not coincidence. It's so ridiculous that you just go along with the ride. Yeah.
I've told a lot of guys in business, people think if you're not really a businessman, you can't go into business. And I say that's incorrect, because that would mean I wouldn't be able to go into business. But the fact is, I'm a physical guy. I can do physical things and practical things and sort things out. But I need a businessman as a partner, which is my brother. But he also needs me as an executor.
100%.
So the fact is, you don't need to say, I can't do this because of this. You just replace that person. You get someone into that role that can play that role and play that role without a lot of effort.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, or you can vouch for this as well, like how important the right business partner is. For example, like I know Rule and I have started this ice bath company, but I'm pretty sure we can start another random company just because our personalities gel so well. And it's probably the same with you and your brother. Although you've got default, you have to love each other. It's
and default, you fight a lot more just because we're brothers.
Yeah, but it's I feel if you don't have the right business partner, it's a struggle to execute. And I think in terms of for what makes the Dunk work so well is that we complement each other so well. And Rule's also like very much into action, which we need it. So one of our foundations of our business is scripture and Proverbs, and it says, commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. And in the beginning is actions. I always thought, I don't know why, but I always thought the verse was commit your plans to the Lord and you will succeed, which is completely wrong. You've got to act first. And that's why I enjoy working with Rule so much, is because everything's like, let's just do something first, like do the action first and do it with the right intention, and from there, like, your plans will succeed.
That's a cool mentality to have. We have a lot of the same mentality here. We try not let any excuses hold us from doing anything. You need to take
100%.
action. You'll probably learn a lot of hard lessons, but you need to start with action.
And you won't be ready as
Yeah.
well. Everyone thinks you need to. If we were ready, honestly, we'd probably still be designing our first one.
Yeah.
It's and probably the same for you guys.
Yeah.
You're never going to be ready.
It's like they say for having children.
Yeah.
You're never going to be prepared for it. You should decide, I'm now doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you just do it.
And it's there's so many stories we can go out about with the dunk specific, like not being ready. I mean, we ordered our first shipment and we didn't have the approvals, and it got very spicy, but everything works out.
Tell me a bit about the physical, the dunk. So this is like, if we can describe it to listeners, this is like a bathtub. If I can just describe it from what I know about it, it's like a bathtub with like a inverter on the end, or like a pool heater, which chills as well.
Yeah.
And does yours also circulate the water constantly?
Yes.
Does it have a flow?
Yeah. So
that makes it a lot more cold, right?
Yeah. So like going back to what I said earlier, like we're trying to, when we were designing this thing initially, we wanted to make the best possible product we could. And we started with the acrylic bathtub. So it's like a normal bathtub. Background from that, my dad's in the bathroom industry. He's been in the bathroom industry for 40 years. So I've literally grown up with, looking at baths and showers and taps and all that sort of stuff. And so the main component is the bath. And that's where it looks quite sleek and it's easy to clean. It's movable. I mean,
it looks like a nice modern freestanding bath.
Exactly. Yeah. So the main thing with that is it's a bathtub, but you don't need plumbing. So you just fill it up with a hose pipe and Bob's your uncle. Then
Do you need a electrical fitting?
So you need some like a source of power, and that's because of the chilling unit that you just spoke about. So we've got a chilling unit that's got Wi-Fi as well. So for example, the main thing with this whole cold water therapy is it needs to be as convenient as possible. Otherwise, people aren't going to stay consistent. I mean,
running to the shop to get 20 bags of ice.
Yeah, like
not really convenient.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the competitors, but like for example, you might do it for a week, but it's also really expensive. You think about buying 20 bags of ice at 16 Rand a bag. Like you start racking up the hundreds of rands quite quickly. And if you do that on a daily basis, it's not really feasible, and it takes time.
And it's tedious.
Exactly.
I mean, carrying 20 bags of ice from your car to your bathtub every day.
It's messy. It's So that's why we got the whole chilling unit. So that cools the water down, and that's a whole thing in itself because there's so many of these things available. So now you need to choose the right one that cools down quickly, that's got Wi-Fi, that's...
What do you use the Wi-Fi for?
To control the temperature.
Okay.
So you can set your temperature. So ours can get down to 2 degrees. The coldest we got it in winter was 0 degrees. It was probably the coldest day in South Africa at that time. But it's bitterly cold. And the speed that I can get to that temperature.
So is it something that keeps running the whole time, or do you set it like an hour before you want to get in to chill it up?
Yeah, so basically what happens is once it reaches those temperatures that you need it to, almost like 8, it depends, we have it between 4 and 8 degrees. Once it reaches those temperatures, it doesn't actually increase that quickly unless it's in the baking sun, for example. So once
you have a cover for it as well.
Yeah, so we've got a cover for it as well. So once it hits that temperature, let's say 6 degrees, it automatically cuts itself out. And then from there, it's only going to turn itself back on once it rises to like 8 degrees, for example. Then it brings it back down. So it's not like you have to constantly turn it on and off, on and off.
But there's like a thermostat, like if you're setting your house temperature.
Exactly, yeah.
I want it at 10, and then as soon as it rises above 12, it will switch on again.
Yes, 100%, yeah.
How efficient are those machines, like on electricity? Because I have the sauna at my house,
Charles,
and it's quite heavy. So I switch it on for about 30 minutes before I get in. Then I'm in for about 30 minutes and then I switch it off again. And when I did the calculations, doing that daily is about the same energy as running an aircon through the night. One aircon.
Yeah.
So taking that into consideration, that costs me about 300 to 400 Rand a month if I do it daily, every day. And the luxury it gives me of having that at my house is justified by 300, 400 Rand easily.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, for example, this chiller, how we explain it, it's less than a hairdryer. For example, in terms of power output, we worked out the electricity bill at Rule's house, and it was less than 50 Rand a month.
Goodness, yeah.
That's the main thing. And why that's convenient is because of the speed of cooling. So, for example, you get in trouble if, I'm not going to talk about competitors, but if it takes 2 days to cool, obviously it's going to be on for 2 days, which is the massive electricity charge. Where ours, for example, get 2 hours, even less. For example, if you set it, because not everyone's going to have a 6-degree ice bath, we can get into that. But let's say, for example, you set it at 10 degrees, still very cold. If you set it at 10 degrees and out the tap is 15 degrees, that might take half an hour to get down to that temperature. So that's not much cooling needed at all. And then it turns off and then you're all good. But we do have a pump that keeps flowing as well. So that's just keeps the circulation of the water. That can get quite spicy if you decide to turn up the speed of the pump.
So what happens there is, if I can try and explain this, I think you can do a better job. But it breaks the thermal barrier that your skin creates 100%. Around you, right?
Yeah.
Like when getting into an ice bath, first thing, your body will secrete heat, and that will create a little barrier between you. So if you sit really still, it will not be as bad.
Yes, 100%.
But as soon as you get a flow going around you, it breaks that barrier the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the same why Clifton Beach or Cape Town's so cold, because you've literally got current going around you, which is keep breaking the barrier.
Yeah. Or like a icy river.
Yeah, no, 100%. So that's, I mean, the flow can get quite powerful in the dunk. So it's, I mean, you just need the water to circulate, right? And that, because you've got the whole filter systems, we've got 2 filters there as well. So in terms of you needing the water to go through the filters so that you don't have to change the water often. And then
how often would you say you have to change it?
It all depends on who's using it. For example, if gyms have a couple of hundred members,
probably, and also sweaty guys.
Yeah, no, then you change it pretty often. I would say once every 2 days. All depends. I mean, we've had events where we've had 200 people in a day. Then we change it at the end of the day.
Of course, yeah.
But if we have a competition where there's 20 people that get in, we'll keep it in for 3-4 days at a time.
And say if you're using it privately at your house and you know that you're using it, and maybe take a shower before or something like that.
So we haven't changed Rudolph's water in over 3 months now. Yeah.
And it's still
perfectly clean. We've got our 2 filter systems or filters, and then we've got a thing called an ozone generator which pumps ozone into the water. So what the ozone does is it helps clean the water. And then a default benefit, which we weren't aware of, that a doctor told us, because they want to do a study at the High Performance Center apparently, where ozone helps with recovery as well.
Like ozone therapy.
Yeah, and so we've got an ozone generator along with the 2 filters in. And
is that like a light, or what is it?
It's basically just collects oxygen from outside and it just pumps oxygen into the water through a pipe.
Okay.
And then pumps that through the jets. Yeah. And then we've got a LED light which makes it look cool if you want to do it at night.
Yeah, I saw that. Different colors in the different baths.
Yeah, that's fun.
I think that's also another big thing. Not talking about your competitors, but if you have one of those without circulation, like one of those inflatables or like a wine barrel type of thing, that becomes really disgusting, and you need to like clean out that thing properly, brush it out, and
Yeah,
it's
no,
a lot of hassle again. It's not
Yeah.
convenient and easy.
So we're still trying to modify and adapt our product. We're not saying our product's complete by any means. We just and I think it's a good mindset to have as an entrepreneur. You need to be adaptable,
Of course.
and you
Evolving.
need to be evolving, and you need to be able to pivot. And in terms of that's how the dunk that we have now is completely different to the dunk that we started with.
Probably the
And,
dunk of next year will also be different again.
It is, yeah. We're releasing the premium version in a few weeks as well.
Okay.
So that's going to be even better and more expensive, but it will be. You've got to be able to adapt, and I
It
think
is a premium product. I mean, I think price is a difficult thing to discuss with items like this, because the type of person that's going to buy this it'll probably be a wealthy person, because he has the luxury of worrying about his longevity.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've had a couple hundred people in these dunks in the last couple of weeks, just at the events we've been to, and we found that cold water therapy is coming into South Africa, whether we like it or not. It's coming, and I think we've changed our business model literally the last 10 days, and talking about pivoting and whatnot, because not many people can just drop 80,000 Rand on a bathtub, no matter how much they want to be healthy. So we're changing our business model to make it more accessible to everyone. For example, even myself, I wouldn't be able to afford 80,000 Rand bathtub, although I'm throwing everything to these bathtubs, which is fun, but I'm making a business out of it. I would afford something a lot cheaper that I can pay off. And that's where we're going to delve into, to make it more accessible to everyone. Yeah.
Okay, that is a good idea. I also saw you doing something there in Pretoria East, where you have like 3 dunks.
Yeah.
Are they consistently there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we do events most weekends, where it depends on how many people are there, the number of dunks that we take. The one that we did last weekend was 4 dunks at a time. We had a rowing championship at regatta at Rudderplaat, yeah.
Yes.
And we are opening a site. We're partnering with a company called B Wellness. Shout out to B Wellness. We're opening a facility in Hazelwood, or they're opening a facility in Hazelwood. We're jumping on the bandwagon there, where they're opening a sauna, and we're going to provide our dunks. And then you're going to do the sauna dunk, live blood analysis, RV bars. And I think that's going to be a good trend that we'll get into. So that's going to be fun. And I think with that as well, talking about having fun, that's where we want to go. We want to have a good time. Like I said,
give it like a experience.
Exactly. So I think in terms of, we found out at one of the events we were at, because it was dead quiet the whole Saturday morning, and then we had a rush hour from 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. where we had 60 people in an hour, and we counted down, we put it down, and we tried to figure out why that happened. And we figured out that people were having so much fun. Once the ice was broken, excuse the pun, people were getting in and they were having fun.
Once they see someone else doing it,
then they want to go have fun.
Yeah.
And that's how we want to do our business as well.
Yeah.
So with this partnership with B Wellness that we're moving into, where we're going to have 3 dunks there, and that's going to be a permanent facility, which will be made available to the public. And that's just, we want to have fun. We want to provide good times. We want to let the public have a good time and feel better and improve their health. And I think if you come in with that intention, it's going to do well. Yeah.
How do you think on doing that business model? Will it be like a subscription based, or will it be once-off payments, or how does that work?
I think it will vary in terms of, some people will pay month to month. Some people will be in town for a week and just want to pop in for a dunk and a sauna, for example. So that's going to vary month to month, and I think either way, I'm going to live there every single day. So it's I think we'll figure it out. Like you said, probably not ready, but we'll figure it out as we go. Yeah,
of course. What does your your research say about the amount of time that you should spend in this water? Like if we talk about maybe 2 to 4 degrees, what is the optimal time to give you the most benefit?
So the science, I mean, I'm going to put a disclaimer that I'm not a medical doctor. So
same, yeah. I'm not one either.
Just research comes from Huberman and Instagram. So it's in terms of the science behind it, says 11 minutes per week. But there's no optimal, it's impossible to say because each person is different. For example, my core body temperature is different to a 70-year-old granny or tani.
Or your activity levels and a lot of things play a role.
So, for example, I might be able to handle a 2-degree ice bath, but I wouldn't suggest a 70-year-old granny gets in there. So it depends on your activity level, your experience in cold water, if you've got heart problems. So in terms of what I would suggest, so generally when we're doing bulk events with mass people, we would be limiting it to 3 minutes. We generally have the water between 5 and 6 degrees, which is bitterly cold. People think 5 and 6 degrees is not too bad. If you just get into 5 and 6 degrees, you realize it's quite tough. So in terms of, we're suggesting 2 to 3 minutes. Some people can obviously stay longer. Some people jump in and after 30 seconds they jump out. And like I said, it depends what time of day you do it, because your core body temperature is different at different times of day. It depends on your activity level. I know I'm not answering your question.
And the amount of fat that you have, and there's a lot of things that play a role.
100%.
But I'm not going to push you to give a precise answer. It's not necessary.
So they said 11 minutes per week. So
okay. But that is also preferably not at once. You don't want to do 11 minutes at once.
So what we do generally is we put on our favorite song, and we go until the song is done, and that's it. That's our dunk for the day.
That's a cool one. Do you think there's negative effects if you exceed that time?
I don't think so. I think it's like one lady gave us a bit of grief on social media about it a few months ago. And my thinking is you can go into a hypothermic state in ice baths, 100%. But you can also get heat stroke if you stay in a sauna too long. And it's all up to you and how headstrong are you going to be. Has to be pretty extreme for you to get into hypothermic states and into cold shock. But that's how I would suggest getting in at a warmer temperature, let's say 9 degrees, 10 degrees. Just start at 10 degrees. And then start at 2 minutes at 10 degrees. Then tomorrow you do 3 minutes. And then the day after that you do 4 minutes. Then you get down to 9 degrees. Then you increase the time at 9 degrees and slowly work your way down. And that's how I would recommend it to the individuals that would buy one.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you have any idea if I run a cold bath now at my house, only cold water?
Yes.
What type of temperature would that be? Would it be like 10, 12?
Yeah, it varies. So, for example, Pretoria water is colder than Durban water. So this weekend when we filled it up in Durban, it was 25 degrees coming out the tap.
Goodness.
Which is...
That's lukewarm.
No, 100%. And then Pretoria in winter, it's about 15 degrees, which is cold. I mean, to think the average temperature in Cape Town is between 12 and 14 degrees. 15 degrees out the tap is still cold.
I know like Cape Town as well. Cape Town Ocean is about 14 degrees. And if you get into that water, you realize 14 is quite cold.
100%. But that's also with like we spoke earlier, with breaking that heat layer.
Yes, with the current.
So but if you get into, I always tell that to people who are getting in for the first time, because it creates a bit of perspective. Like, okay, Cape Town is 14 degrees, 12 degrees. Now you only get into 5 degrees. That's a massive difference. And then people might think difference between 2 and 5 is not that much. Promise you, if you get into 2 degrees, you'll tell what the difference is between 5 degrees. And it's absolutely massive. I mean, we'll get into this discussion, but it's when you get into 5 degrees, it's cold. I mean, you get that shock. But 2 degrees is a completely new level of mental resilience that you need to go into.
Have you heard about, I don't know how into UFC you are, but on the, I think it's the Ultimate Fighter, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, they got into a bit of a challenge with the ice baths.
Okay.
And I think they did it at 37 degrees Fahrenheit.
What would that
or
be in Celsius?
34. It's below zero.
Okay.
And they did it for like, I think it was 25 minutes.
That's insane.
And they got quite a lot of scrutiny.
No,
I think
that's
especially
dangerous.
like Andrew Huberman, everyone's saying, oh, this is irresponsible. You shouldn't do this and show
100%.
people that you're doing this.
Yeah.
Because it can really be life-threatening at a stage.
I think that's also, they're probably able to do it because the elite of the elite athletes.
Yeah, super athletes. Yeah.
And their mindset is so strong.
Yeah.
But that, in terms of why people would give that flack, is because probably the average Joe would try that. And
And
that's
get
not,
hurt.
and that's not feasible.
Yeah.
So in terms of jumping in at the cold temperatures, like the between 2 and 5 degrees, that's you realize it's a completely different experience when you jump into this. Your body hasn't been exposed to cold water like this. So like, for example, cold showers. Lots of people have cold showers. You do cold showers. I do cold showers. The difference between cold showers and 5-degree dunk is massive. First off, the cold showers are sporadic. It's just sitting in different parts of the body. The second one with dunks, it's complete submersion. So that's the first major difference. And then when you get into 2 degrees and your body hasn't experienced it before. So you see, we laugh at these when we go to the CrossFit events and we see these big, strong guys and they completely lose it when they get into cold water. And it's because you don't know how you're going to react. Some people are calm. Some people completely lose their minds. Some people are a bit of a mixture where they're able to calm themselves down after 20 seconds, but the first 20 seconds is horrific. But you need to almost figure out what you're going to do when you get into that water.
It's a big mental resilience game.
100%.
And I think if you don't get any mental adversity, like training hard in a gym or pushing yourself in a sauna or training cardio or whatever, when you know it really gets difficult, now I have to push through, bite on the gum guard,
and
all of those. Maybe someone who doesn't do those things, this will throw them out totally.
And that's it. It's and you carry that resilience into life, I believe. And I always get told this is a terrible sales pitch, but getting into the ice bath is terrible. It's absolutely horrific. I get scared every single time I do it. And people think, oh, no, it's your company. You should be used to it. Well, no, my palms start sweating every time before I jump into an ice bath. But I know after 30 seconds, I'm going to feel amazing. And that's, I think, a good way to look at life. Like, if you're scared of doing something, do it anyway. And even if you're not ready, even if you're a bit afraid to do it, just jump in and enjoy the benefits afterwards. And if there's no benefits, you're going to learn something.
But I think also, there's statistics, the benefits outweigh whatever it is that's keeping you from doing it. I had my reason for starting on this biohacking type of journey was the fact that after my accident, they prescribed a lot of medication to me. Pain medication, nerve, a lot of medication. And one of the main killers for people that are paraplegic is organ failure due to all the medication that you need to drink. So I started researching and looking at ways, how can I not use this medication? And for me to do that, I went in a couple of directions. The first one was training and giving myself, giving my muscles some soreness, but then it makes sense because I know why it's sore. I trained it. So that helped a lot. Secondly, saunas. With the heat shock protein, the same as the cold shock protein, the adrenaline releasing, it helped a lot with with the pain that I feel in my body.
Yeah.
And then I'm still looking at ways in which I can do cold therapy better than doing a cold shower, because I've been doing it now for about a year. The Wim Hof.
Yeah.
I do the breathing. I do the cold showers every morning, no matter how cold it is. And like you said, it's difficult every morning.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't want to do it, but it's a small and easy victory at the start of your day, and that is so valuable.
Yeah.
And I think that is maybe one of the things that are understated, except for the physical benefits, the mental benefits that you reap from doing these difficult things. So valuable.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think physical benefits in terms of like blood circulation and the reduced inflammation, that's all good, but I always vouch for the mental benefits. I think you completely become a different person. And Andrew Huberman goes in depth about dopamine and the dopamine effect. And in terms of what happens, just to explain to the listeners, when you get into cold water and extreme cold water, we call it the cocaine effect. Where I've never taken cocaine, so I don't know how that feels.
Just the hearing from Melvin at work.
Yeah. So they say your dopamine rises up to 250 to 500% when you get into cold water. But if you think your body's got a baseline level of dopamine, with cocaine it rises up to 500%, but then it dips below that baseline. And with cold water it rises up to 250, 500%, but then it increases your baseline. So over time, you've got more dopamine flowing through your body, which makes you... So dopamine's not the happiness hormone. It's more related to motivation instead of pleasure, for example. So you just become a more motivated and driven person. And that's the benefit that you have from or the mental benefit. And that's what I vouch for in terms of you. It's unreal to experience if you do this consistently. How if you take cognizance of your thought patterns before, and then you do this consistently, and what your thought patterns are like and your general mood, and you're just a better person to be around. That's my feeling, but the science backs it as well. And it's quite, I mean, they use it for rehab centers as well, which is quite interesting to me as well, in terms of how to get people off drug addictions. And that's all because of the mental aspect and the dopamine releases. So the science is there. Also the physical aspects is insane. It's mind-blowing. The fat loss, increased metabolism, improved circulation, improved recovery so that you can train more. So that's all there. Physiologically, it's a complete change. You become a different human. Yeah.
And there's not a lot that get close to these benefits.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
last as long as well. I know with the thing that they talk about cocaine, and they say that this gives a lot of the same feelings, but lasts like 3 times as long, and it's basically free.
Yeah, exactly. There's no special ingredient that we're putting in here. It's just extremely cold water that we're trying to make as convenient as possible to get to. And I'm just thinking of a quote from Tony Robbins. And he says the quickest way to improve your psychology is to change your physiology. And he talks about cold water therapy and training, and just a challenge for anyone out there. Like, you want to change your psychology, just start training, start eating better, start doing these healthy habits, and see what it does to your psychology, because you're changing yourself physically.
I agree 100%. And I've seen this in myself. I've seen this in others. When you do physical, difficult things, it sorts out your mental issues.
Yeah. As we were talking earlier, Joe Rogan talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
Because you voluntarily get doing something difficult physically, and suddenly everything else in your day is easy.
Yeah. Because it's just thoughts.
Yeah.
You're struggling with thoughts, and you think, oh yes, this is so stressful and that's so terrible. But after doing something physically difficult, this is not as bad. It's not that difficult.
I promise you now, get in an ice bath at 5 a.m. in the morning. You will not do anything mentally harder than that the rest of the day. Touch wood, you won't do anything mentally harder. But it's really tough to get in that cold water at that, because I mean, you just want to stay cold and warm and comfy, and like, what does Joe Rogan say? Your inner bitch comes out. So, and sometimes
you don't have to do it today. We can do it tomorrow. You trained hard yesterday. All are excuses.
So you just need to get over that. And you're not ready. You're scared. You're anxious. Get in the cold water. Promise you 20 seconds and you're a different human being.
Yeah.
Completely different. And that's where. So I tell people the different times, the different occasions that I've used the cold water in. My favorite is the early morning one. You wake up, just get in, and you operate from a 20% level of functionality to 100% in 2 minutes. And the second one after that is we've done all-nighters with work and having your own business. After you've done an all-nighter, you literally get brain fog after the second day. A few people will be able to relate to that. Then you get into this extremely cold water. Suddenly that brain fog clears. It's an unreal experience. And you're able to whip out another 4 hours of work, which is very cool. And the third is, if you're a bit scared and you've got a bubble us and you get in the cold water,
you'll sort it out.
You're ready to go. I'm pretty sure people after watching the Springboks on Saturday will need it on Sunday morning. But yeah, it's those 3 circumstances are where I've experienced the benefit of cold water the most. Just in terms of...
And like an instant improvement.
Exactly. When I say benefits of cold water, it doesn't mean I get to bubble us every weekend, which is not the case. But in terms of taking notes of how I'm feeling before and how I'm feeling after. And that's been an unreal experience for me,
I think a lot of the effects or the benefits are also... It will only show in 30 years' time. So those are difficult to use as motivation because we as humans don't like to think that far into the future. We think, I want to feel good now. So there's also benefits now and further along. And you'll only notice that when you're 50 and you can still do a squat or you can still run and do things because your body has been trained.
Well, this is 100%. It's a preventative. It's not a cure. Although there's been some studies, whether they're true or not, as to like people with terminal cancer and have had they've been living in Scandinavia and Finland and whatnot, and they've just done cold water therapy and they've been cured of cancer. Whether that's true or not, I can't vouch for it.
I've heard the same claims.
Yeah. So. I think for that being the immediate cure, but I mean for this it's a preventative and it's longevity. You want to live long and have vitality. We don't just want to live to 90 years old. We want to be 90 and be able to go for a walk for 5 days with our family,
lift your grandchildren.
Exactly. So you want vitality, and I think that's where this benefit's going to come from. I completely understand, or I love the physiology aspects that we've been talking about, and I think in terms of the fat loss benefits, the ability to kill dead cells because your body is just burning itself up basically, that's super interesting for me, and I think it makes sense why in 30 years time it would be really good for us. Gary
Brecker, are you aware of Gary Brecker?
I've heard of him before.
10x Health. He says a thing about cold water and that's one of the best ways of getting your body in shape. And he talks about the reason for that is your body wants to stay at 37 degrees. Now you're putting your body in, let's say 10 degrees.
Yes.
Your body is constantly using a lot of energy to try and keep your temperature at 37. So it's burning so much energy, fat, whatever it has to burn, it will burn.
Yeah.
And they say that's why, I mean, the swimmers have such incredible physiques.
Yeah.
Because even they're not in terribly cold water. Maybe it's 20 degrees, but it's still a lot below your core temperature. So your body has to work to keep it at the right temperature.
Well, there's that story of Michael Phelps. I hope I'm not butchering it, but how he was burning up to 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
And that's all that he changed. He didn't change his training regimen. He just trained in colder water because he obviously moved to different states or whatever it was. And that's also mind-blowing for me. I think, in terms of your body heating up, Huberman in his podcast tells a good story about how, because people, whenever they jump in the ice baths, they always complain that their hands and feet are burning. And Huberman was telling a story about how if you throw someone in a desert and they start running, their body starts overheating. And in terms of how would you cool that person down, automatically you'd think, get a cold towel, put it over your shoulders. And your body's basically got an internal thermostat, right? So like you mentioned, once you're in the cold water, your body's burning calories to try to bring your temperature back up. So if you put a cold towel over your shoulders, your thermostat registering that something's cool is on your surface. So your body temperature will keep going up because of this cool temperature, but it's not necessarily decreasing your temperature that you need. So if you're running a marathon and you need to cool down, there's sections in your body that you need to focus on, which is your upper cheeks, your hands, and your feet. So you need to put those into a cooler box or an ice bath, not necessarily
your upper cheeks.
I mean, just put your face in. I don't know. But it's lots of people just get a cold towel and put a shirt over, which isn't necessarily helping you. And one of my friends told me a story about a guy running Comrades, and he was overheating because I grew up in Durban, and that race gets insane. And they couldn't cool this guy down, and he got into a cooler box, but lay in with his body and his hands and feet out. And apparently his body temperature kept on rising, even though
his whole core was being cooled.
Yeah. And now when I heard that Huberman story, it suddenly made sense to me, because your palms of your hands and your feet are actually the main thermoregulators of your body, and your cheeks, which is super interesting. That I learned there.
And a lot of these things don't really make sense because I'm not smart enough.
No, that's not at all. But that's, for example, when you're getting into a dunk, they say keep your hands and feet in, because that helps burn that massive fat that we were talking about earlier. Just to close the loop on that story.
Okay, Dean, tell us, if someone wants to experience this without spending 80,000, how can they do that?
You can WhatsApp me and I'll let you come for free. But we're having that Be Wellness facility that we're opening up in Hazelwood. So
is it part of that new development, that walkway with all the shops?
It's close by. I mean, it's probably less than a kilometer from there. So that's going to be open in a month or 6 weeks. That's going to have the sauna, ice bath. So that's where the public's going to have access to it. In terms of, and you can buy a membership or go for a daily dunk, and you can follow us on social media. I promise you, once that's up, we're going to be pumping that facility. So that's only available in Pretoria for now. There is a vision to go to Sandton, to Durban, to Cape Town.
I have a really good connection for you in George.
Okay.
And when I spoke to that friend of mine, and I told him that you guys were coming to the podcast this week, he said he really wants to talk to you guys. He
awesome.
wants to do the same type of facility there.
Yeah, we always open up for connections, and I think that's like you spoke about it earlier, like in terms of meeting people and doing business. It's we all up for a good time, and we want to have a good time. We want people to win. We want people to be healthier, and I think if you can figure out something that everyone wins, that's how we want to do our business. Like I mentioned earlier, our original goal was to make a dunk for Rulof and myself. Now we're just having fun, which is cool, and we'll just see where this can go.
No, excellent, man. I think you've started a really cool thing.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you think it's maybe a trend, or do you
100%.
think?
I 100% think it's a trend, and I think the influencers are going to go wild on this thing.
Do you think it's going to pass?
No, I don't think so. I think because of the benefits,
These actual benefits, you really feel better.
Yeah, and
I agree.
looking at so unfortunately, South Africa's a bit behind the rest of the world in terms of these technological changes and whatnot. And these things have been going on in the States. I think they originally took off 7 years ago. And we're only catching on this year. Like I mentioned, in January, there was nothing in South Africa. And now we at a space where
cold water competition.
Cold water therapy is booming, and for the right reasons, because it's so good for you. I mean, we're never going to claim 100% of the market, but the benefits outweigh like the status of having the market, for example. And I think once people realize like how good this thing is for you and how easily accessible it is. I mean, it's just cold water,
and it's just a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, if you look at a gym session, where you need to go to the gym, change, work out for like 50 minutes to an hour, then take a shower, all of these things, it will become an hour and a half.
Easy peasy.
This is like 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably the hardest thing you're going to do the whole day.
With probably the most benefit to it.
Exactly, yeah. So in terms of whether this thing will last, I 100% think it will. I think it's going to end up being an everyday thing, where people will have like saunas, and I think it's almost going to fit into that realm. Obviously,
like in Sweden.
Exactly.
It's like everyone has a bath and a shower and a sauna.
Exactly.
Just every house has that. They know how beneficial it is.
I heard I spoke to a doctor at one of our events, and he explained it well in terms of why it makes sense that you would live longer. And he says, for example, if you put food in a freezer, it will last longer than if you just keep it outside. And just put yourself in the ice bath, your body's going to last longer. Yeah. And that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, maybe like the cells die slower or something of that matter.
Yeah, so I think with the increased metabolism, obviously carrying less fat, and your core body temperature's a lot. So contrary, once you get into cold water, your core body temperature increases over time. That battles away colds and flu. So you overall just a more healthier person, the blood flow with less inflammation.
Heart rate will go down.
Yes. And also you're just able to move better, less fat, you're mentally a lot stronger, which makes you do more healthy benefits, and it's just a rolling snowball. And I think once people start realizing that, I can't see this going anywhere. Yeah. And that's why we're jumping on. I mean, we want to be able to build and adjust and make sure that you move with the market as well. Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that I don't have any feeling from below my chest? Any feeling or sensation or anything?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think it will still have the same benefits for me submerging in cold water?
Yeah.
Because I will basically say I go shoulders deep.
Yes.
It's actually just this part that's being that's feeling it.
Yeah.
But probably the benefits are still there at the extremities that don't feel it.
Yeah, I firmly believe, because it's all connected to your blood flow, right? And I think even though you don't feel it, there's still going to be the benefits. Your blood's still circulating around your body. Your blood's still going to circulate around your core organs. You're still going to get the mental benefits, the benefit for your skin, and also we haven't spoken about the benefit for your sleep as well, in terms of increasing melatonin, which improves your sleep over time. So it's, like I mentioned, it's not really, the physical benefits are there in terms of recovery and sports recovery and blood circulation, but I always vouch for the mental benefits way more than the physical benefits.
How you feel and the chemicals that are being released in your
and the resilience that you're building. because it's such a mental test to get into this thing every single day. The fact that you're putting yourself through a test every day, and that's where I think the main benefits is going to rise. Not necessarily recovery wise, or it will be the things that you can't really measure in terms of just by your judgment. Like, I'm feeling happier today, for example.
But people don't measure that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I try because I try. Literally, I have a little journal diary that I set up with a few prompts that I fill in.
Yep.
And I gauge my happiness. I gauge my physical strength. I gauge my mental strength. All of that I measure out daily.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you don't think about.
Yeah. So how have you thought about, like, as you measured with doing cold showers and whatnot, have you noticed a difference?
Massive difference.
Is it?
Massive difference. The funny thing is, all of these things came along at the same time to me.
Okay.
Starting journaling and starting cold showers and saunas and breathing techniques. So I did a bit of a habit stacking where I just added a bunch of habits which fill up my time and are very beneficial, all of them together. So I don't really know what has the most benefit or what plays the biggest role. Yeah. But I just know that this concoction that I have together is working. Yeah. And I need to keep doing it to make sure I feel good. I have a routine of 6 things that I do daily. It's cold exposure, sauna, training, diet, meditation, and gym. Did I say gym?
Yeah, training, yeah.
Okay. There's one more. Breathing exercises. I know I need to hit 3 of those every day. Or else I will notice something's off. I'm not feeling great. And a lot of it from my part is due to my accident and my body. Like, I have neural problems because my body isn't receiving the right signals. Yes. So that creates problems. So that is another reason why I have difficulties and why it's easier for me to measure them, because I know how it feels without them. I know I need this because I'm not taking medication. So for me, it's really beneficial. I've noticed, and I notice when I don't do it.
Yeah, but it's also, like you mentioned, luckily you're very self-aware, and I think that's what this ice bath does to you. It forces you to become self-aware. And I try to prompt this question to people when they get out of the dunk at events and whatnot, and I try to make them explain to me, like, how are you feeling? And they might be like, no, I'm feeling great. And I'll be like, no, tell me, how are you feeling? Like, be specific. And it takes them a while to think about it, and they say, okay, as I got out, it was very uncomfortable, but I can literally feel the tingly sensation flowing back through my arms and my legs, and I'm starting to feel my body heating up. And then they start laughing and smiling and then sort of becoming aware of what this benefit is doing, what this ice bath is doing, and how it's beneficial. And I think going back to yourself, and luckily you are self-aware, and I think going forward, it's only going to benefit you going forward in terms of improving your day-to-day lifestyle, because, like I said, it's just becoming 1% better every single day, and then from there you look back and you've had a decent life where you're just a better human being.
Of course, I agree with that 100%. All of these difficult things we do, we don't even have to do it for ourselves a lot of the time, but maybe for the people around us,
100%,
because we become assholes quite fast.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's just human nature. And the one thing, obviously you'll experience it with the shower as well, but we have not had one person get out the ice bath that hasn't been smiling. Maybe it's just a fact that they're happy that they survived, or because they actually have a dopamine rush. It's in terms of just being a happier, better person to be around. Letitia talks about it a lot.
I saw she released a book.
Yeah, no, we had a book launch last night, which was awesome. But she explained how when she gets her kids up for the morning, she gets up an ice bath before she wakes him up, because if she doesn't, she's just like, come girls, let's get up, let's go. Whereas she has a dunk and she comes and she's like, whoo, she's buzzing, she's singing.
She has the honey, I'm home energy.
Exactly, yeah. 100%. So that's it's also very interesting in terms, and that, I mean, it's just getting into cold water. Yeah.
A guy I spoke to on my podcast, Simon Phillips, last week, he spoke about the fact that when he gets up in the morning, and he says he puts on this cloak of stress and agitation and being insecure and all of these things.
Yeah.
And he says he washes that over his children and his wife. And he says once you become aware of that, and you can change that by doing a physical difficult thing.
Just do something. Yeah.
He says it changes your whole life. Totally, because that is what you know, the first thing you do in the morning with your children or with your wife, that is the thing that will change your life. Not the weekend away or the honeymoon phase or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's every morning, that first 5 minutes, or every evening when you see your spouse the first time, or you pick up your kids from school. Those are the life-changing moments.
Yeah. I think Jordan Peterson speaks about that a lot.
Yes.
In terms of fixing that, like I say, fixing that 1%, that greeting your wife when you get home.
Yes.
Greeting your children, how you interact with your parents, for example. I mean, that is your life. That's the person that you are. And yeah, I think we all want to be better human beings. No one wants to be grumpy and anxious. And I think it's also, you got to take a bit of humbleness for yourself. Take a piece of humble pie and notice that, listen, don't be too much, or just do something. If it's meditation, or if it's going for a walk, or getting into cold water, just doing something, because it will benefit those around you as well. And that you're not too much to get into cold water, for example.
Again, being self-aware. That's quite important.
Yeah. And
Dean, if you could leave a lasting thought to the listeners, what would that be?
I think it would literally just be what we mentioned. Just it's relating it to cold water therapy, and it's a completely new experience for those who haven't tried it. It is scary, it is daunting, and not just for cold water, for life. If something's scary and it's going to be good for you, if it's a tough conversation that you have to have, if it's embarking on a new adventure, do it. You'll be better for it at the end. Get in that cold water, you'll feel better at the end, I promise you. And just stick through it, be strong, and you'll be happier at the end of the day.
That's really cool, man. Where can people follow you guys? Where can they find you? I know it's the Dunk ZA.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just Google the Dunk or the Dunk Ice Bath, and it'll come up on Google.
Instagram,
I'm pretty sure
Facebook.
Instagram, we're all there. LinkedIn. So Instagram's our main page. Literally just look up the Dunk. We're there. We're going to be at lots of events. Got lots of events coming up. I think come and say hi. Come and test out the waters. Come and test out our new facility that we will be opening up.
Come and have a conversation.
Exactly.
Ask you about how does it work? What do we need to do? What's the benefits?
Exactly. And then also, if there's cool events, like I mentioned, we just want to have fun and have a good time.
And you're also open for collaborations. If someone is having an event, they must phone you guys.
Exactly. And if we can make money at the end of the day, also it's going to be great. We've met our goal in terms of making our ice baths for ourselves, so now we want to...
You got your two, so you're sorted.
We're going to just, if we can bring that out and help other people, that's also going to be great.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Dean. I really appreciated the conversation, and I think that was very insightful.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Cheers, listeners.
Thanks, guys.